Get Out, a whisper in the wind. But unlike any wind you've ever known, it has a tone, emotion, intention, and it's speaking to you. When you stand in the middle of Rubio Woods, a dense forest on the southwestern edge of Chicago's suburbs, you might feel the air here is heavier, colder, not because of the weather, but because something is watching you. Hidden among moss-covered trees and overgrown weeds lies a forgotten patch of land. A small, old cemetery, barely an acre wide, but its name is whispered in every list of the most haunted graveyards in America, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Where death refuses to sleep, cracked headstones, signs of graves that have been disturbed where eternal rest was meant to be. Wild grass grows thick, obscuring the names of the dead, a space where time has frozen, and long-buried rage has begun to seep out. Since the 1960s, countless chilling accounts have surfaced. People say this place isn't just haunted. In the folkloric sense, it's where spirits have been violated. And because of that, they guard the cemetery as if it's the last territory they have left. You are not welcome. You are not invited. And they will make sure you know it. Electronics malfunction for no reason. Flickering red and blue lights float in the woods. Shadowy figures walk alongside you, yet make no sound. And if you're lucky enough to leave with all your belongings and your memory intact, there's no guarantee you went alone. Locals avoid this place. Ghost hunters rush in, only to flee in the middle of the night. Paranormal investigators call it one of the scariest haunted cemeteries in the US ever documented. They say the wind here can whisper, but sometimes it gives commands. And that's why, today, we cross the boundary deep into that forest to uncover the creepy, paranormal experiences that no one has ever explained, and to hear the spirits of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery tell their own story. The name carved into that old wooden sign, no one truly knows where it came from. But everyone agrees on one thing: it's not just a name. It feels like a warning. Bachelor's Grove. It sounds ordinary, maybe even lonely, but behind those two words lies a history erased, faces forgotten, and secrets that were never meant to be unearthed. The name first appeared in the mid-19th century in a stretch of land near the town of Bremen, in Cook County, Illinois. Back then, it was still a wild forest, with only a few scattered settler families. Some say the name came from a group of unmarried men, the first bachelors to settle here and clear the forest. They lived alone, with no wives, no children, and left behind no descendants. When they died, they were the first to be buried in that small cemetery. Another theory is darker: Bachelor's Grove, a mysterious family that has lived near the woods since at least 1845. No photographs of them remain. No one remembers when they left. But according to stories, the Bachelors lived in seclusion, silently, and performed strange rituals in the dead of night. Whatever the origin, the name, Bachelor's Grove, eventually became official when the first post office in the area was established in 1843. Strangely, not long after, the post office shut down. Settlers moved away, and the land was abandoned. Since then, Bachelor's Grove became a symbol of a place where isolation and death exist side by side. A cemetery no one maintains, but no one dares to disturb too deeply either. Today, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is known not just for its legends, but for the Bachelor's Grove ghost, nameless, wandering spirits with no kin, no resting place, just like the very bachelors who once claimed this land. And if the name truly is a whisper from beyond, then maybe those who step into this place aren't just facing the past, but staring straight into eternal loneliness. There are places where, when you step on the ground, it feels like the earth beneath you exhales softly, as if whispering the names the world has long forgotten. Can you hear them? Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, barely an acre of land, was once the final resting place for dozens, maybe hundreds, of souls. But over time, most of their names have faded beneath moss, cracks, and ruin. The first recorded burial was Eliza Scott, laid to rest in November of 1844. A gentle name in a forest of shadows. But some local manuscripts mention William B. Nobles, buried in 1838, earlier than anyone had ever believed. If that's true, then this cemetery held the dead before the name, Bachelor's Grove, even came to be. Throughout the 19th century, this patch of land became the resting place for early settlers, families who had lost children, and even nameless spirits. But by the late 1880s, bodies began to be removed. Some families, fearing the ground was no longer sacred, exhumed their loved ones and moved them elsewhere, to places less disturbed. It all reached a breaking point in the 1960s, when desecration became rampant. Headstones were smashed, coffins dug up, human bones were scattered across the earth like they no longer mattered. And from that moment the paranormal began. The Bachelor's Grove ghosts did not appear to frighten, but as if they were demanding the dignity that had been stolen from them. The last person buried here was Robert Shields, in 1989. But since then, no one has dared to lay another to rest. Today, the graves in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery no longer resemble graves. Many have sunk beneath roots, swallowed by thick layers of soil. Visitors pass by, take pictures, record videos, but no longer recognize a single name. Only the wind remains still drifting through the trees, calling out names only the dead remember. Not all spirits are kind. Some still hate, still rage, still burns with fury even after death. And at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery it is these very souls that are waking up. Here, death did not bring peace. It was violated, disturbed, torn apart by the curious and the careless. And the result is a cemetery haunted by ghosts who no longer wish to forgive. Since the 1960s, when the graveyard began to suffer desecration, headstones toppled, graves dug up, remains thrown into the pond, something in the air changed. It was no longer sorrow, no longer mourning. It became the wrath of the dead. People speak of hearing a scream in the wind, "Get out." No one knows whose voice it is, or where it comes from. But it's real, it's close, and it's angry. The prevailing feeling when entering Bachelor's Grove Cemetery isn't fear. It's a quiet, smoldering fury, not explosive rage, but a resentment that's been festering for decades. As if you've crossed into forbidden ground and every soul buried here knows you don't belong. Some describe the sensation of being watched and scrutinized from all directions. There's no one in sight, but the pressure builds like dozens of unseen eyes judging your every move. Throughout the forest, strange barren patches appear, places rumored to have once hosted dark rituals. Whatever was summoned during those rites may have torn the veil between life and death. And when the living walked away, the spirits stayed behind, twisted, in pain, unrested. That's why, sometimes, faces appear in photographs, filled with rage. Why do silent figures walk beside you, but you can't call them by name? Why cameras, phones, and watches all fail here? Because you've stepped into the territory of the angry dead and they do not want to be disturbed. The Bachelor's Grove ghost is not just a ghost. It is a warning. When rest is violated, the dead can become the keepers of their fury. And sometimes hatred is stronger than death. In the thick mist of a forgotten cemetery, a pale white figure sits motionless, clutching something small, limp, and ice-cold in her arms. They say it's the body of her child. No screams, no tears, only a silence so deep, it freezes the blood in your veins. They call her the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove, or simply the woman in white. But to those who've seen her, no one calls it a legend anymore. She is real, and her grief feels more alive than anything else in this graveyard. She was first captured in a photograph in 1979. A group of ghost hunters was surveying Bachelor's Grove Cemetery when one member, seeing nothing with the naked eye, snapped a random picture of a quiet corner of the cemetery. In that photo appeared a woman in a long white dress, head bowed, holding something small in her arms, believed to be the body of a child. No one had been standing there when the photo was taken. No one saw her with their own eyes. But in the picture she appeared, clearly and painfully, like sorrow frozen in time. Since then, she's continued to appear wandering among the shattered headstones, moving slowly, as if searching for something, no longer carrying a child. Only the empty ache of what's missing trailed behind her like a shadow. Many believe the Madonna is the spirit of a young mother who died suddenly from illness, accident, or perhaps a crime never uncovered. Her small child also died, maybe at the same time, maybe not long after. But the most terrifying part? No one knows where the child was buried, and so the mother's spirit can never rest. She doesn't scream like the other ghosts of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. She doesn't lash out, destroy, or seek revenge like the angry dead. She only holds and searches. They say if you happen to see her in the fog, don't go near, because if you accidentally step on the spot where her child once rested, she may believe you're the one who took her baby away. And if that happens, even if you leave the cemetery, she will follow you, holding the child you can't see. You're walking through the woods. Up ahead, there's a small white house. Warm orange light glows from its windows. You blink, and it vanishes. You blink again. It's back, closer. This isn't a hallucination. This is the vanishing house, one of the strangest paranormal phenomena ever recorded at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. People call it by many names: the Phantom House, the Ghost Farm, or simply, the Doorway of No Return. But no matter what name it goes by, every story shares one thing in common: no one knows what it is. And no one ever dares to approach it twice. For decades, witnesses have described it the same way: a one-story white Victorian-style house, with a front porch and an old swing swaying for no reason. A warm orange light spills from the windows, making it look alive, inviting, even. And that is the trap. They say the closer you get, the smaller it becomes. The edges twist, warp, until the house dissolves like smoke. But sometimes, if you're unlucky enough, it opens its door, and if you step across that threshold, you never come back. Local legend says there used to be real houses near the cemetery long ago, but no one remembers when they were torn down, or whoever lived there. This house, this repeating phantom, might be a ghostly echo of something that's been erased from reality. Or worse, it's something conscious, something that wears a familiar shape, just to lure you in. Those who've seen it say that afterward they experience sleepless nights, terrifying nightmares, and sometimes the house returns to them in dreams. But this time, someone inside is looking back. Among all the supernatural events at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, the vanishing house is the one thing almost no one will go near. No one has ever captured it on video. No one has solid proof. Only a warning. If you see it, don't stare, don't move closer, and whatever you do, don't open the door. Because sometimes doors lead nowhere. Or worse, they lead to a place where you are no longer you. There's a pond in the woods, still as glass, but it doesn't reflect the sky. It reflects only the shadows of unrested death, tucked along the edge of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. This small, quiet pond was once a peaceful watering place for birds and woodland creatures. But today, for those who dare to approach, it's become a gateway to the other side where time freezes, space tightens, and every ripple feels like an eye watching you. According to local oral history, in 1870, a farmer became the unwilling center of a horrific tragedy. While plowing a field near the cemetery, his horse suddenly panicked for no clear reason. The farmer lost his balance, got tangled in the reins, and was dragged violently into the pond, where both he and the horse drowned in utter desperation. Since that day, the pond has never known peace again. Many witnesses claim that on windless afternoons, you can see the silhouette of a large dark brown horse galloping across the surface of the water. No hoofbeats, no sound. It leaves no splash, just a shadow gliding over the pond. And if you watch too closely sometimes, you'll see the farmer still being dragged behind. Others report seeing two motionless figures standing in the center of the pond, as if caught between worlds. Not alive, not dead, just drifting forever, trapped in water that never dries. This pond has become part of the very soul of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. A silent death zone that is anything but empty. Not just the site of tragic loss. It's also believed to be the location of dark rituals and a strange energy point in many Bachelor's Grove ghost reports. Some say that if you linger too long at the edge, you might hear a horse breathing heavily, splashes in the water, or the sound of reins pulling tight in panic, with no one there. And if you lean in to look at your reflection on the surface, be careful, because the face looking back at you might not be your own. Deep in the forest, there are circular patches of land where grass never grows. No fallen leaves, no animals dare to step near, only silence and the scent of dried blood. The forest surrounding Bachelor's Grove Cemetery doesn't just hide ghosts. It hides secrets, strange and darker than death itself. Since the 1970s, reports of black magic rituals, spirit summoning, and animal sacrifices have been increasingly common in the wooded area behind the cemetery. Locals say they've seen flickering firelight in the night, and shadowy figures in cloaks gathered around ritual circle places where nothing ever grows back. Those round barren spots remain today. Some say, when stepping into them, they feel their heads tighten, their hearts race, and they hear whispers in a language not meant for human ears. Several ghost hunting groups have dared to perform cleansing rituals in these areas. But after leaving, they began to experience strange phenomena. Shadow figures appearing at home, eerie sounds from their closets, and in some cases, team members became heavily haunted, falling into deep depression or losing control altogether. One story is widely shared among paranormal investigators. A group of young people once camped overnight in the woods behind the cemetery. They reported that, around midnight, one of them woke up with the distinct feeling that someone was standing just outside the tent, completely still. When they bravely opened the tent flap, there was no one there, but on the ground were small, round footprints, like a group of creatures had been dancing around the campsite. And in the center of the site was a circle of stones no one remembered placing there. Some researchers believe the area was once used for rituals by unknown occult groups, taking advantage of the forest's isolation and its heavy, ominous energy to open gateways to the other side. Others believe those very rituals awakened angry spirits, transforming Bachelor's Grove into one of the strongest centers of dark energy in the entire state of Illinois. And if you ever find yourself walking through that forest and come upon a perfect circle of bare ground in the middle of the thick trees, step back immediately, because you may be standing on the remains of a ritual that never truly ended. There are places where, the moment you cross the boundary, you know you're no longer welcome. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is one of those places. The person who shared this story isn't a professional ghost hunter. Just a group of curious friends with a camera, a bit of courage, and the urge to see what makes America's most haunted cemetery so terrifying. The moment they stepped past the rusted fence, an overwhelming sensation hit them, not because of the scenery, but because of the air itself. Pressurized, heavy. They described it like walking into a party that suddenly went silent, as if every invisible eye had turned toward them. Though the forest was completely still, their camera was fully charged. Yet the battery kept draining. Turn it back on. Battery full again. The same glitch, over and over, as if something was trying to stop them from capturing what can't be seen with the naked eye. They ventured deeper into the woods, past the infamous circular clearings where black magic rituals were once rumored to take place. In the center of one clearing sat an old, weathered picnic bench. They posed for photos on it, but when they looked at the pictures, their faces were distorted. One friend, smiling brightly in real life, appeared in the photo with a look of unbearable sorrow. Another, who'd only been playfully posing, looked furious, eyes filled with rage. Then, the phone vanished. They searched the area, nothing, and just as twilight fell, they saw a figure in the distance wearing a wide-brimmed hat moving parallel to them through the forest. No footsteps, no breaking branches, not a single sound, and when they finally exited the cemetery, the figure disappeared. They thought that was the end. It wasn't. Back home, when the storyteller tried to review the photos, something shifted. The atmosphere in their room changed. Shadows moved where none should have. The light in the living room dimmed inexplicably. The air grew dense with unease, so much that even their mother, someone never prone to superstition, confessed, something isn't right. Eventually, they deleted every photo. Slowly, the house felt normal again, but what they saw never left their mind. And from that day forward, they admitted, I still have a fascination with haunted places, but I've learned one thing. Some doors once opened, you don't walk back out the same. Not every door that opens is an invitation to step inside. And not every place you seek out welcomes your presence. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery is not a sightseeing spot. Not a place to check in out of curiosity. It is a land trapped between two worlds where time has stopped. Where souls have never truly been laid to rest. This place is a strange symphony of resentment, loss, and mysteries. Nameless ghosts, distorted faces in photographs, vanishing doorways in the woods are all like fragments of forgotten memories. Resisting the world's attempt to forget them, people still talk about it. About the wandering spirits around shattered gravestones. About the woman in a white dress holding a lifeless child in her arms. About the glowing house that appears deep in the forest and then vanishes without a trace. About the strange whispers in the wind, all saying one thing: leave. No one knows why they're still here. Maybe it's pain, maybe it's anger, maybe they simply weren't allowed to leave. But one thing is certain, they know you're coming. They sense you. They watch every step you take. And sometimes, you don't have to believe in ghosts for them to see you. Many who've stepped into this place have shared stories that kept them awake for weeks. Some never truly left, bringing something back with them. A photo, a glance, a silence too heavy to bear once the lights go out. It's not a curse, it's just an echo from a place where the other side is still whispering. You can enter Bachelor's Grove. Just remember, if your name hasn't been called, don't stay too long, because sometimes, you don't choose to stay, they choose to keep you.